Welcome to the Success in Africa podcast with Dr. Modupe, your weekly dose of leadership vitamins to make you successful in Africa.
Hello and welcome to the Success in Africa Leadership Podcast. My name is Dr. Modupe Taylor Pierce, and I am a scholar and practitioner of leadership and organizational development. Simply put, I study what makes people successful. I have been doing this for 3 decades with a particular focus on people right here in Africa. And in this podcast, I share stories, lessons, and insights about people having success right here in Africa. I created this podcast because I have a vision for Africa. I have a vision of Africa becoming a middle-income continent by 2030 and a high-income continent by 2040. And for that to happen, I need you and every African watching or listening to this podcast to become successful. So, if you want to be successful in Africa, I encourage you to like and subscribe to this podcast. This episode is brought to you courtesy of BCA Online, the one-stop shop for mastering leadership. Joining BCA Online is free, and it gives you access to countless hours of knowledge, videos, and a plethora of information about leadership that will enhance your leadership capacity. So if you have questions that you want to ask me or you want me to answer after watching this video, the easiest way is to log on to BCA Online. The link is on the screen, and post your questions there. That is where I will respond to your questions. Folks, today we're going to learn about an incredible woman. And we're going to learn some lessons from her life. Lessons about perseverance. Lessons about longevity. On the 21st of March, 2025, something incredible happened in Namibia that has never happened before in that country's history. A woman was inaugurated as president. Her name is Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, known by many people simply as Triple N. And her journey from a small settlement in northern Namibia to the highest office in the land is one of the most remarkable stories of perseverance, service, and leadership that this continent has ever produced. Now, before I go further, I want to be clear about something. This podcast is primarily focused on entrepreneurship and business leadership. But every so often, I encounter a story of leadership that is so instructive, so full of transferable lessons for anyone wanting to succeed in Africa that I feel compelled to share it. This story of Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah is one of those stories because what she built over 57 years of uninterrupted public service is essentially a masterclass in the qualities that all successful Africans, whether in business, politics, or any other field, must possess. Let's go back to the beginning. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah was born on the 29th of October 1952 in Onamutai, a small settlement in what was then called Southwest Africa, a territory under the brutal rule of apartheid South Africa. She was the 9th of 13 children, born to an Anglican clergyman father, that's one thing we both have in common, who was one of the first spiritual leaders of the Anglican Church in Okwanyama. The young Netumbo grew up in a community where politics and the struggle for freedom were not abstract concepts. They were lived realities. Political mobilization meetings were held near her home, and the seeds of her activist spirit were sown very early. At the age of just 14 years old, Netumbo joined SWAPO, That is the Southwest Africa People's Organization, which is the liberation movement that was fighting to end South Africa's occupation of Namibia. Think about that for a moment. At 14, when most of us were worried about what to wear to school or what our friends thought of us, this young girl was joining a political movement at enormous personal risk. And the risk was real. Her political activities made her a target. She was arrested. She was sentenced to 3 years suspension. And in 1974, at the age of just 21, she made the courageous decision to go into exile to continue to fight for her people's freedom. In exile, Netumbo did not waste a single day. She worked at SWAPO headquarters in Lusaka, Zambia. She attended a course in the Soviet Union. She rose through the ranks of SWAPO to become the deputy chief representative and then chief representative in Central Africa, and later the chief representative in East Africa, based in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. She was so respected and trusted in those years that President Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, one of Africa's great statesmen, gave her a permanent seat on his presidential plane. He called her Mama wa SWAPO, the mother of SWAPO. She addressed the United Nations. She was the African group's chief negotiator at the 4th World Conference on Women in Beijing in 1995. She never stopped learning. While in exile, she earned a postgraduate diploma in public administration from Glasgow College of Technology in Scotland. She earned a diploma in international relations and a master's degree in diplomatic studies from Keele University in England. When Namibia finally won its independence in 1990, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah returned home and was immediately elected to the National Assembly. Over the next 3.5 decades, she served in virtually every major ministry and leadership role in the Namibian government. Deputy Minister of International Relations, Director General of Women's Affairs, Minister of Women Affairs and Child Welfare, Minister of Information and Broadcasting, Minister of Environment and Tourism, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Deputy Prime Minister, Vice President, and finally, President. In the year 2017, she made history again as the first woman elected Vice President of SWAPO. In December 2024, she won the presidential election with 58.7% of the vote, a decisive, convincing mandate from the Namibian people. And on the 21st of March 2025, exactly 35 years after Namibia's Independence Day, she was inaugurated as the country's 5th president and its first female president. To put that achievement in continental context, in the entire history of Africa, only one other woman has ever won a presidential election outright. That's Ellen Johnson Sirleaf of Liberia, who did so in 2005. Yes, there have been other women presidents like Joyce Banda of Malawi and Samia Suluhu Hassan of Tanzania. They have served as president, but they came to office through succession following the deaths of their predecessors. Her Excellency President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah won her mandate the hard way by going to the people and earning it. And since she has been president, she has presided over economic growth and discipline in her cabinet. When I visited Namibia, I spoke to a number of people, and the overwhelming perspective of everyday Namibians, not just those at the top, but taxi drivers, market sellers, was that President Triple N has instilled discipline into her cabinet. As one driver put it, the ministers now, they are not just concerned about chopping money, they have to perform. And just recently, Namibia paid off its loans to the IMF, one of the few African countries who has done that. So what can we learn from the journey of President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah? I want to highlight 5 lessons. First, start before you are ready and start where you are. There's never a good time to start. You see, Triple M did not wait until conditions were perfect to begin her journey of service and leadership. She started at 14 with nothing but her convictions and her courage. In Africa and in business, we often are waiting for the right time, the right resources, the right environment. Guess what? Triple N's story tells us that there is no perfect time. Start where you are with what you have when the call comes. That's lesson number 1. Lesson number 2, never stop investing in yourself. Even in exile, even while representing her country in foreign lands and fighting for independence and going through struggles, President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, before she was president, was studying. She earned qualifications in public administration, international relations, and diplomatic studies. She understood that the best investment she could make was in herself. No matter how busy your business is, no matter how many fires you are putting out, find a way to keep learning. Because knowledge is a competitive advantage that nobody can take from you. And the knowledge that you are gaining, the learning that you are doing, must be in line with your vision, because that is the preparation that will have you ready for opportunity when opportunity shows up. And you know what they say, when preparation meets opportunity, that's when luck happens. Lesson number 2, never stop investing in yourself. Let's go to lesson number 3. Lesson number 3, consistency and longevity are their own forms of excellence. Triple N served without interruption for 57 years. Not 57 years of glory, not 57 years of being lauded, but 57 years of showing up, doing the work, sometimes in difficult circumstances, and doing it with integrity. As leaders, sometimes we are looking for the shortcut, the quick win, the viral moment. But the most durable success is built by those who show up consistently, year after year, and build a track record that cannot be denied. When Namibians went to vote in 2024, they were not just voting for a slogan, they were voting for a 57-year track record. That's lesson number 3. Remember, consistency and longevity are also forms of excellence. Lesson number 4, use your position to open doors for others. One of the first things that President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah did when she assumed office was to ensure that 2/3 of her cabinet positions were held by women. I give her an A+ for that. She did not forget where she came from or what she had fought for. The most successful leaders in Africa are those who build ladders for others to climb. They do not pull up the ladder behind them. If you are in a position of influence, whether you are a business owner, a team leader, or a manager, ask yourself, who am I bringing along with me on this journey? Who am I creating opportunities for? Just remember that. Part of your job as a leader and your legacy of success is going to be whom you bring along, the ladders you create for other people to move up. 5th and final lesson, understand that leadership is a privilege, not an entitlement. Let me say this again. Leadership is a privilege, not an entitlement. You see, when she was asked how she felt about becoming president after 57 years of struggle, Triple N did not say she felt, triumphant or vindicated. No, what she said was she felt the weight of privilege. That weight was something she never forgot. To quote her, she said, "This is not really something that I can celebrate." She said, "It's a privilege, it's a responsibility, a sign of the trust that the people of Namibia have placed in me." That is the mindset of a true leader. Whether you are the CEO of a startup or the president of a country, the people who follow you, work for you, and invest in you are placing their trust in you. Honor that trust with humility, with hard work, with integrity. It's a sacred trust. And Triple N and her journey manifests this. So there are 5 lessons to learn from the remarkable journey of Namibia's first female president, Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah. Start before you're ready. Never stop investing in yourself. Consistency and longevity are their own form of excellence. Use your position to open doors for others and lead with humility, because leadership is a privilege, not an entitlement. Triple N's vision for Namibia is amazing. It's to create 500,000 new jobs, to provide free tertiary education, and to grow her country into a thriving, inclusive economy. Notice how it's aligned with my vision of an Africa that's a high-income continent by 2040 and a middle-income continent by 2030. I'm excited about this. You see, based on everything that she has demonstrated already during her brief period as president and for the 57 years, I certainly believe that she will achieve this vision. And I hope that her journey will inspire many more African women to aim for, aspire for, work for the highest office in their land. All too soon, we've come to the end of today's episode. I hope you've learned something from today's episode, from the journey of Dr. Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah. Thank you so much for listening or watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video. Tell your friends about it, because together we will transform our beloved continent of Africa. I'll see you next week.
Tomorrow belongs to those people who prepare for it today. See you next week.